My wife took the kids for curbside grocery pickup, so I have limited time. My wife and I team up to take on some of the best things streaming has to offer. Welcome back for more of Our Thoughts. No time for binging. We continue through the Umbrella Academy Season 1, this time with Episode 4, entitled Man on the Moon. When we finished this week's episode, my wife immediately interjected, before I was even able to speak, that this episode had no Speedo in it, ruining the streak. Musical cue, right off the bat. A shirtless Luther. It's 7 years ago. He leaves his room, immediately opens the door to Allison's room. He does this slow walk down the hallway to show all of us that he is the last child remaining. He looks longingly around the breakfast table to find no one. A light bulb flickers to show the age of the home. He rides his bike around the house while drinking a gallon of milk. Wife thought, as boys do. There's a mission alert, so Reggie still calls him number 1. Luther tells him that he doesn't have to call him by his number anymore, because he's the only one left. There's an accident. Luther has trouble breathing. Mom tries to resuscitate Luther, so Reggie has no choice but to use this serum, and Luther wakes up with a gorilla body. Pop goes the weasel, with the title of the show. My wife told me that it was a monkey that popped out of the box, not a weasel. I told her that the song is about a weasel. Agree to disagree, wife. My wife says she will never agree to disagree. Not wife approved. Wait, how is it possible that Vanya wrote the book 5 years ago, and we clearly saw Luther in that opening montage doing push-ups with a normal body? But this episode begins 7 years ago, with Luther getting the gorilla body by way of that serum. This has gotta be a huge mistake. After Googling things for 5 minutes, I found the following possible plot hole resolution. 7 years ago, the montage shows Luther bored as time passes. So it is possible that more than enough time has passed during this montage so that 5 years ago Vanya writes the book. Then, after writing the book, Luther goes on this mission and eventually gets his gorilla body. Later in this episode, Diego says that Luther was on the moon for 4 years, implying that he was sent there soon after he got the gorilla body. 7 years ago, Luther is the last child remaining in the home. 5 years ago, Vanya writes the book. Less than 5 years ago, Luther gets his gorilla body. Credit to Reddit user Nick Hkin. Luther wakes up. Allison brings him to their mom, who was deactivated the night before by Diego. Allison believes it was Hazel and Cha-Cha that did it. Allison and Luther have an intense conversation about what happened to Luther in the past, and Luther says he can't talk about it. It's a tight race between Vanya, Luther, and Allison for my least favorite in the family. Speaking of which, Vanya wakes up at Leonard's house. She's late for rehearsal, and she's almost out of pills. She admits they're for her nerves, and she's been taking them since she was a kid. Vanya and Leonard have another awkward conversation, this time about their childhoods. Vanya rehearses at the Icarus Theater. Just in case you were wondering, Icarus is from Greek mythology. He flew too close to the sun, with wings made of feathers and wax. He suffered from foolish pride and dangerous overconfidence. Don't fly too close to the sun. Vanya says hello to the first chair, Helen, who immediately blows her off. Cha-Cha torturing Klaus, who seems to be enjoying it too much. They've been torturing him for the past 10 hours, and Klaus has given them nothing. It's because Klaus doesn't know anything, by admission. Out of everyone in the house, they kidnapped the wrong guy. They waterboard him, only for Klaus to gargle the water and thank them for the drink. Hazel then complains about hazard pay. Another day at the office. Wife points out, Hazel's helmet squished when he took it off. So, is it not made out of metal? Or was this a production error? Diego laying down on the porch at Eudora's home, who gives him all the information he needs to connect the dots to 5. Fingerprints from a 1938 cold case, the tow truck driver not having family, everything connecting to his brother. Instead of enlightening her with that information, Diego diverts by explaining that his mom died last night. He does tell Eudora that Hazel and Cha-Cha showed up at the mansion, and that's why he has the battle scars to show for it. Eudora is unwilling to try things Diego's way. Foreshadowing. Allison back at Vanya's apartment. She thinks Vanya's back home, but it turns out to be Leonard. He is a total Creeper. I feel Allison is right to not trust him. The eye doctor and his dog. Five teleports into the car and pulls a knife on him. The eye doctor admits that he's been running a scam with manufacturing things to sell on the black market. Dude, this guy has no spine. He takes Five to Meritech to get a list of clients. Luther poking around Five's room, and Diego shows up looking for Five as well. Brotherly bickering. This is where Diego says Luther was on the moon for 4 years. He refers to Luther being a monster, to which Luther punches a hole in the dresser. Brothers. Luther's mad at everyone for leaving the house. They poke at each other incessantly until Pogo steps in to rebuke both of them like the father figure that he is. Again, that CGI is distracting. I love how they both apologized the way that they did. Back with Cha-Cha and Hazel, arguing, Ben shows up to tell Klaus that withdrawal is beginning to set in, implying that his power may be in effect. As a result, an old Russian lady appears at the window muttering something, obviously deceased. Hazel and Cha-Cha go through Klaus's coat and begin destroying his drugs, which breaks Klaus. Then Hazel and Cha-Cha eat his special chocolate? I'm beginning to think that Hazel and Cha-Cha are not the experts that they say they are. Klaus finally gives up some information on Five about staking out the eyeball place and it having to do with the end of the world. We go to the eyeball place with Hazel and Cha-Cha, who are high as kites right now. They dance around the eyeball room. Meanwhile, Diego and Luther show up at Five's stakeout van. They have a hilarious bump into each other moment trying to get into the van. Twice. I'm number one. Now Hazel and Cha-Cha are pouring gasoline. Meritech burns and blows up just as Five gets there. Amazing sequence. My wife wonders whether Hazel and Cha-Cha just changed the future by burning down the eyeball place. Did they do it deliberately to get Five's attention? Well, they were high. Back at the theater, Allison finds a celebrity magazine with her husband and child on it. Sad. Allison tells Vanya about their mom, so they go get a drink. Sisters. Hazel and Cha-Cha recovered from their high by going to Gritty's diner. Why are we here again? You know why they're there, Agnes. Hazel is fully buying into Five's belief that the world is ending. This is not about a broken contract. Five, he's trying to change the timeline. What in the world? Oh, sweet smile from Agnes. Flashback to Klaus being locked in a chamber as a kid, freaking out about the dead souls tormenting him. Present time, Klaus is tied up in the closet, still going through withdrawal. The cleaning lady finds the screw to the vent where Hazel hid that suitcase. Ben says, you know what the worst part about being dead is? You're stuck. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to change. That's the real torture, if you gotta know. Watching your brother take for granted everything you lost and pissing it all away. Whoa! The detectives are detecting again at Meritech. They found a burnt ear off of Cha-Cha's helmet. There is no point to finding that ear, other than to show that she burned a little bit. That has no plot ramifications. Eudora finds the message on the stakeout van. Your brother says hi, with a matchbook to the motel. Oh, Eudora, you're gonna do something dangerous, aren't you? Argyle Public Library. Why did Diego leave the academy? Because that's what you do. You go find yourself. Luther's never had to hold down a job or pay bills. But the real question is, why did Luther stay? Luther believes the world needed him. Diego believes he stayed because he couldn't let go of the way things used to be. Diego dropped some knowledge on him by proclaiming them orphans again, now that their mom and dad have died. Aww. Luther and Diego find Five asleep in the corner of the library, drunk. Allison says Leonard was creeping around. I've been saying that! Allison and Vanya have drinks and talk about Leonard. Leonard saw something in Vanya that no one else did. Yes, Allison, everybody knew about you and Luther. Yay, sisters! Cha-Cha and Hazel come back to the hotel room relieved to find Klaus still in the closet. They got really lucky with that cleaning lady. Why wouldn't the cleaning lady vacuum the closet? You guys are scarier without the masks. Slap! Klaus is exhausted and he just wants to go home. Oof. Eudora is walking into a trap. Flashback to Klaus in the Chamber of the Dead. Sir Reggie welcomes him back. He wants Klaus to overcome his fear of the dead. Klaus just wants to go home. 3 more hours. This is crazy. No wonder Klaus turned to drugs to dull his senses. Eudora shows up at the motel. Eudora calls the boxing place for Diego and leaves a message. She could use some backup. Oof. She's gonna play by Diego's rules, isn't she? Okay. Husband and wife rant. What year is this? The kids were born in 1989, so we assumed it was 2019. And everyone is calling on phones attached by cords? Where are the cell phones? That way Eudora could have gotten in contact with Diego a lot more efficiently. Luther lived on the moon for 4 years, and they don't have the technology for cell phones? Are we living in an alternate timeline where that technology doesn't exist, but time travel does? End of rant. Luther carrying 5 down an alleyway. Again, that brotherly love. They fill 5 in on the break-in from the night before. 5 knows it was Hazel and Cha-Cha. What do they want? 5, still drunk, seems resigned to allow the end of the world. Ben tells Klaus that the Russian lady was one of Hazel and Cha-Cha's past victims. Wow. Ben gives Klaus the idea to use some of the information he can get from the Russian lady against Hazel and Cha-Cha. And it's working! Allison and Vanya hanging out. Allison wants sweatpants. She's really leaning into the sister hangout thing. My wife asks, who leaves chocolate-covered raisins out in a bowl? Crazy people. Crazy people who want ants. Apparently Leonard left Vanya a bouquet of flowers. I really don't want to believe he's being nice. I'm still holding on to the fact that he's a creeper. Vanya calls Leonard for another awkward conversation. Aha! Leonard took her pills. The bottle says 2 pills daily. Again, not a doctor. Klaus is being spoken to by a ton of the victims of Hazel and Cha-Cha. This is amazing. And Hazel begins to lose focus because some of the information that Klaus shares. Which one are you, Cha-Cha or Hazel? See, I'm not the only one who wondered for so long. Klaus found out about a past victim whose wife was spared by Hazel, and Cha-Cha is mad. Hazel looks like a kid that was just brought to the principal's office. He's trying to explain away not wanting to kill certain victims, and Cha-Cha tapes up Klaus's mouth again. My wife pointed out that before Hazel and Cha-Cha left the room, Klaus calls out, there may be hope for him yet, in reference to Hazel. Foreshadowing, Eudora decides to try and find Hazel and Cha-Cha without Diego's help. Ooh, I got a bad feeling about this. Cha-Cha says Hazel is distracted. Yeah, distracted by pure donuts. Nicely done. To get Eudora's attention, Klaus begins slamming his head on the table. Eudora gets the key from the cleaning lady next door. No! Too convenient! Come on! Who cleans at that time of night? My wife rants. The cleaning lady doesn't vacuum the closet, leaves the screw on the table, but she's diligent enough to still be cleaning the room next door. Eudora finds Klaus and sets him free. Hazel throws down his gun to walk out and give himself up. No! Klaus tries to climb into the vent where the suitcase thing is. No! Bam! And Cha-Cha shoots Eudora in the back. I liked her. If only people had cell phones. Also, she did what Diego suggested by not playing by the rules. And she died. Where did Klaus go? Did he climb through the vent into the next room? He has the suitcase. He has it on a bus. He hopes there's a lot of money inside. He fiddles with the suitcase and disappears into a flash of light. The lady sitting across from him is not nearly freaked out enough. This whole show is people not being freaked out enough. Diego and Luther lay 5 down in the back room of the boxing gym. Diego calls him adorable in his current state. The gym owner guy shows up to give Eudora's message, except it's a half hour too late. Diego runs to the motel, and another musical cue. Ooh, I like this song. It's really sad, though. Eudora finally took his advice, and it got her killed. She needed him for backup, and he wasn't there. Diego is going to hunt Hazel and Cha-Cha down. Diego really loved her. Now he's lost his mom and his best girl all within 24 hours, and he takes the receipt to the donut place before he leaves. Diego is now my 3rd favorite. Anyone else cheered up by the violin music during the end credits? And the sound of my family coming back with groceries means it's time to wrap up. Make sure you like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join us next time as we review episode number 5, entitled Number 5.